Do you know anyone who has completed their suicide? Anyone who is currently contemplating taking their lives, hurting themselves, giving up on life itself? When you talk to these people and they trust in you, they will tell us they don't want to die. They just want the pain to go away. Back in the day when my speaking career began, I was speaking at 3 schools every single day, 15 a week, for 140 out of the 180 school days a year, to thousands and thousands of schools, millions of teenagers over a 7.5-year period of time. And during that sweep, speaking in all 50 states, not only was my message about motivation and inspiration and resiliency coming back from my football injury, but it morphed into a time management message. If you're doing something positive, you won't have time to do something negative, and your positive actions will say no for you. But during that same time frame, we had a nationwide suicide pandemic. So obviously my assembly message also included suicide prevention. During that time, there were 6 suicides in one day, 7 in the same week in Plano, Texas. There were suicides in Greenwich, Connecticut, and Ocean Township, Asbury Park, Long Branch, New Jersey, some of the most affluent areas in the world. There was a suicide epidemic on the Sioux Indian Nation reservation in South Dakota. And this pandemic was sweeping our nation at a feverish pitch. I was flown into Iowa. The name of the city and school will remain anonymous, but I was flown into town with a woman by the name of Charlotte Ross from San Mateo, California, the national co-chairperson for suicide prevention. And why were we invited into this particular high school? 2,000 students. In the 30 days prior to us coming to their school, they had 100 suicide attempts. One young lady completed her suicide and died. 99 survived. She was a beautiful, smart, talented head cheerleader, student body officer. 99 survived. So when we came into town, Charlotte Ross took charge. She divided the 2,000 students in half, took 1,000 students into the theater and did the left brain cognitive psychobabbling neurotechnical facts and figures stuff. And I took the other half of the student body into the gymnasium. And we approached it from more of a relational, touchy-feely, laughing and crying perspective. And then we swapped audiences, tried to repeat our performance. And at the end of the day, we invited in the school administrators, the healthcare professionals, and the school counselors to join Miss Ross and I, where we interviewed every single one of these students who had attempted suicide and survived. Every single one of them told us the reason why they wanted to end their lives and give up on life itself was because they lacked commitment relationships in their lives. Do you? Quickly, to define a commitment, let's use love. Love is a commitment, not a way of feeling. Romance is not love. Romance comes from a Greek word that means erotic, so I don't want to talk about it. But think of it in these terms. If I love you because you're beautiful, that's romance. But if you're beautiful because I love you, that's a value-creating love that inspires us to be the best that we can be. Love is a commitment, not a way of feeling. However, regardless of what movies have morphed us into believing, regardless of what music has embellished in our hearts and souls, I love you are not the 3 most powerful commitment-oriented words in this world. I need you are the 3 most powerful commitment-oriented words in this world. Let me explain. A dear friend of mine decides to get married. He phones me up. Clark, will you write a song for my wedding? I said, sure. He said, will you sing it? I said, no. In the next few minutes, he convinced me that we were best friends, that it would be important and cool for me to participate with him in his special day. I couldn't say no. I said, all right, I'll do it. 2 days later, he phones me back. Clark, the band just called and canceled. Could you prepare about 40 or 50 songs and play for the whole reception? I said, no. He said, I need you. Oh, what a jerk. Had he said, I love you, I would have said, I love you too, man. Here's the number of a band. But because he said, I need you, and convinced me that my little weird shaped puzzle piece really did matter, that I could make a significant contribution. I could not say no, and I don't think you could have said no either. I practiced and I prepared. Eventually, his wedding reception rolls around on the calendar. He makes a big deal out of my love song. He gathers everybody around. I sat on the stool, sang my little song. Everybody's crying. They disperse, start to have their refreshments, start to socialize. I sang the first out of the 40 or 50 songs that I had also practiced and prepared. And all of a sudden the band shows up. There was a miscommunication. Realistically, I was no longer needed. I wanted to eat, not just sit on a stool and sing all night. So I gladly helped the band set up all of their equipment. Now you think about this for a moment. When I arrived at that wedding reception, I arrived with the attitude in mind that I was needed. I would have stayed till 4 o'clock in the morning if necessary. I would have waited tables. I would have wiped tables. I would have sung 100 songs if necessary. I would have made some up. But the second that band showed up, realistically, I was no longer needed. So why hang around? We can fool others, but we can never fool ourselves. Question, are you needed? If not, why not? And if when, don't you think we ought to feel needed? Don't you think you should feel needed right now? And here's the kicker. Because of the nature of the society in which we live that we've all helped create, we can't afford to wait for somebody else to tell us or show us that they love us or need us. We have to do something on a daily basis to prove to ourselves that we are needed, that we are loved. So the kicker word in commitment relationships is to participate more, get involved. If you don't feel like you're needed at home, participate more, get involved. If you don't feel like you're needed at school, participate more, get involved. If you don't feel like you're needed in your children's lives, participate more, get involved. If this message resonates with you, I guarantee it will help you master every morning and own every single day. Please share it with everyone who matters.